Hello, this is Master Cleveland of Classic Taekwondo, and basically putting out another short one. This one's on what I call body targets for self-defense. Basically, if you look at Taekwondo itself, it is a hard external martial art. Hard style meaning muscle contraction, blunt force trauma in many cases. There are basically three sets or three types of targets that a person can use for self-defense. They're broken down into what I call the surefire targets, the excellent targets, and the good targets. Surefire targets, basically by definition, are targets that when you strike them, there will be in some kind of effect. In many cases, it's going to put the person in such a bad way that a follow-up is the door's open for the follow-up strike, if it's needed at all. There are basically six what I call surefire targets. The eyes. We'll start off with some obvious ones. The eyes themselves. You have the brow, which there's a lot of sensitive stuff up there in the brow. The corner of the eye, which is sensitive. You just touch it, you're going to blink instinctively. And of course, the eyeball itself, the lens. You're hitting here up in the eyebrow area. Basically, what you're doing is you're attacking the orbital bone up there. If that breaks, that's definitely going to affect the eye. It's going to cause an effect right away. A person can't see. They're really not going to be able to do a whole lot. Immediately, anyway. The corner of the eye, you hit that, it's going to cause the person to blink a lot. And it doesn't have to be a hard strike. It could just be a poke. They're going to be blinking, and again, the door is open for a follow-up. The eyeball or the lens is pretty obvious. Now, there's just a touch, which is going to cause a person again to blink. Their eyes are going to water up. Or a direct poke or gouge, where you're actually trying to damage the eyeball itself. This could be permanent damage. These types of strikes are techniques that you use when you know for a fact that your life is in danger. This will get an effect from the person. The next one, those are the ears. People don't think about it. They think maybe just pull an ear. Yeah, that is a little discomforting, but what I'm talking about is making the hand into a palm-like shape or a paw-like shape like this and striking right over the eardrum itself, right over the ear. Not the side of the face, that's a slap. That's something that's entirely different. You hit the eardrum. You push air into that drum, it's going to cause the eardrum to be ruptured. You're going to know it's ruptured because blood's going to come out. The person's going to be in a lot of pain. Their first reaction, if they're holding on to you, is to let go. And if you're striking both, they're going to grab both their ears because they're dealing with the pain, which of course opens up other areas for strikes. The throat, well, right in here, you got the airway, you've got the phrenic and vagus nerves. When you're striking in the throat area, a person can armor up their body all they want. They can wear heavy clothing, they can hit themselves and all that stuff. You hit the areas like the throat, the eyes, the ears, there's really not much you can do. You get hit here, quick jabs, usually, unless you're going to grab and choke. A quick strike here is going to cause a person to cough. Their hands are most likely going to go for their throat because, again, they can't breathe, which again opens up elbows, ripping strikes across the face, straight on punches, kicks. These are going to cause an effect. That's why they're called surefire. The side of the neck, you're talking about the carotid artery, the jugular veins. These are areas that are susceptible to strikes with pretty much anything. And we're talking empty hand, the knife hand strike, sudomaki, to the side of the neck. You're driving it in and pushing. It's gonna cause it could cause a person to be knocked out if you use this technique properly. In any case, it's gonna cause damage to the veins underneath. Again, this technique, if you're going to strike somebody forcefully there, most likely they're going to drop. Use the forearm and you hit somebody there, they will drop. Then you have the back of the neck, back here. You're getting around the back of the skull. A strike there, done properly, can kill. But in a lesser capacity, could possibly knock a person out. The last of the surefire targets are the fingers. Doesn't take a whole lot to damage these. You hit them with something, they're going to be broken. If you grab them, twist them, put them past their point of their flexibility, you're going to hear snaps. In which case, that hand that has a broken finger, most likely that person's going to be struggling with the pain, which again opens them up to all kinds of strikes. These are things that you grab or strike that will cause an immediate effect. The goal with self-defense, if you have to use force, is immediately inflict pain. I did not say kill the person. I said immediately inflict pain. Pain is a big deterrent in people wanting to continue a confrontation. But if we move on, we have what are called the very, very good or excellent targets. There are three of those. The knees. Basically, for clarity, if you look at the knee, they only go but so far. When you extend them, they go past their point. Like if you kick the front of the knee just above the kneecap, that's going to force the knee back. Goes too far and that knee is going to be destroyed. The side of the knee, same thing. Side pressure, like from a side kick or stomp, that knee is going to be out of action. The back of the knee, that's going to cause the knee to flex, in which case if a person's saying you're trying to drive them to the ground, you stomp the back of the leg. You do it with enough force, you'll damage the back of that, and you'll also drive them straight to the ground, in which case you could use other strikes or techniques to deal with the situation. The groin. This is the one that everybody knows. The groin is also the most protected part of the body when it comes to confrontations. I mean, people try to protect their face, yes, but the groin, if a woman attacks or is being attacked by a man, one of their first reactions might be to kick the guy in the groin. It's not a bad choice. It's just the fact is, remember, the guy's thinking this too. And you're thinking, oh no, you're not going to hit the jewels. But what I would say about the groin is that when you strike one of the surefire targets, it's going to take their attention off, in which case then you can drive your foot, usually the instep of your foot, or knee, if you're really close, into the groin. It's going to basically send a shock wave up their stomach, which they're going to feel kind of queasy as they hit the ground. Leave immediately. The kidneys. They're right at the lower back. Striking one of those with, say, a thumb, or a solid punch, or a four-knuckle punch into that area. You do it forcefully enough, the person's going to be in a lot of pain. They're probably going to not be in a condition where they're going to want to continue. If you do it with enough force, you will cause them to have a Kool-Aid incident, which I call it, which is they're going to start peeing blood. It's not something that you play around with. You don't joke with your friends doing this. This is something you use if you absolutely have to. All these techniques, they're not about playing around. It's about you walking away in one piece. You've crossed that line where you have to use force, and you use the level of force that's appropriate or available. Then there's the good targets. There's 6 of those. There's the solar plexus right here. A good shot there is going to drive the wind out of somebody. Some people really build up their torso where they can take blows, which again is where I say strike an area that's going to be a surefire thing, which is going to open them up because their body's going to be reacting to the pain, and then suddenly they're getting a shot right in the solar plexus, being with a hand, an elbow, a knee, whatever. It's going to drive the wind out of them. You do it forcefully enough, they're going to be out of the fight for good. They're not getting up. The liver. Liver shots are something that you see in some martial sports. They're struck. I mean, some MMA matches, some of the old K1 matches. People getting hit in the liver, the effect may not be immediate, but it hits. When it hits, you're basically not going to be in any condition to do anything. You're going to be in a lot of pain. You're going to drop on the ground, and you're probably going to be rolling around in agony. You hit the liver with enough force, it will cause internal injury. Can it kill you? Depends on the level of force that is rendered towards that liver. The liver is located on the left side. You strike that with enough force, right side. You strike that with enough force, that person's going to know, because they're probably going to, their next action is going to be to grab their stomach. They're going to drop on the ground, and they're going to be in a lot of pain. If it's a situation where you had to defend yourself, you hit them, you leave. You'll have time, but don't stick around. That's the case with anything. The spleen is the next one. You strike that, that's going to cause a considerable amount of pain to a person. Usually the good targets are the follow-ups to the surefire or very good or excellent targets. The sternum, that little area right there, you hit that. The xiphoid process, that little point right there, you hit that and it could be driven into the body and cause a lot of injury inside. The point of the jaw. Sometimes you see a boxer with a good solid uppercut, they hit the point of the jaw. Done properly, it can fracture the jawbones. That person's out of the fight. They're not going to be able to talk. It's going to be very painful, anything they do. And the sixth one, and I know I'm going through this pretty quick, but the sixth one is one that people might not consider at all. Right here, the philtrum. It's between the nose and the top lip. If a person pushes on this, you'll notice a lot of discomfort. That's for controlling moves. If you want to move someone out of the way, you put your finger there, you push up, and they're going to move back with you. They'll move. Trust me. But if we're talking from a striking perspective, this is why I call it a good target, because many people will not consider it, or they will miss when they throw the punch. They're so amped up on adrenaline that they're throwing a punch that they will miss the actual target. You hit right here, right in this spot between the nose and the top lip. People with mustaches hit the stash. Once you punch forcefully into that mustache area, the front teeth are going to jump out of the mouth, because it's a cluster of nerves right here. You hit here, the teeth are flying out. That person's going to be in a considerable amount of pain, and if you do it properly, possibly knocked out. Now, all these techniques, you notice I didn't mention certain techniques or techniques in general. These are just areas of the body. And the level of force you use in a confrontation is based on the threat. I recommend in any situation where you're fearful for your life, if you can, just get out of there. Leave. Don't play around. You got people who talk about, well, this technique won't work in a fight, this technique won't. The thing is, you don't want to fight. If you use strike these areas in the event that you're in a confrontation, you're going to create a space where you can get out or finish the situation if you need to. I would tell any student, once you create the opening to leave, take it, leave. If you can't leave, if there's multiple opponents, it looks like it's going to be a really bad situation where you got to do more, take that person out quickly. Hit these areas with, and I'm not saying hit them all, but strike in such a way that you fear your life is in danger. Don't play around with it. You're scared, but the thing is, you have to do something. Now, the purpose of this video is not to teach people to go out and hurt each other. The purpose of this video is to show that there are certain areas on the face and the body. I just showed a few of them. You look at the rest of the body, there's a lot of different areas that can be struck, grabbed, twisted, or pulled that can cause a sufficient amount of pain to where a person is no longer going to be willing or able to pose a threat to you. Those having questions about what I put out here, by all means, leave a message. If you like what you see, leave a like. If you want to see more, then by all means, subscribe. There is more to come.